What's up, guys? Welcome to Stand Film with Ben. My name is Ben, obviously, and I'm one of the hosts for Stand Film. Guys, as you guys know, with Stand Film with Ben, it's all about how to win in life, the mental skills of what it takes to win. And we're bringing a lot of athletes, entrepreneurs, people who are doing what they're saying they're doing. And we're going to talk about purpose. We're going to talk about the importance of having urgency, especially in your 20s. And dude, I'm really excited because today we have in the house my brother Martel. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good. I mean,
How are you?
exactly. They're gonna see it every. It doesn't matter, bro. What you been up to? I haven't seen you in forever.
Months.
I know
Yeah, I mean, just been working, man.
you've
Just
been
been
avoiding
getting.
me. I know that, bro.
I,
Come
I
on.
have been avoiding you. So annoying, man. I can't. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, just building, man. Just building a brand for myself personally. Have my own brand with the supplements. Just getting into more of what my purpose is.
That's
Finding that
awesome,
every day. And yeah, man. Every day is different. I love it.
dude. When did we meet? Was it like what, like 6 months ago?
It might have been. It might have been April.
Okay.
Might have
Well,
been either April or February, but I
well,
think it's I think April.
okay. Well, tell people about yourself, dude, so they can get to know you. What do you do? Where you're from? How old are you? And everything.
Wow, you just gave me a bunch of questions.
Yeah,
Let me see
dude.
if I can figure
Just
it out.
jumping. Then.
All right, guys. My name is Martel Metellus. So the big thing with me is that I've been in entrepreneurship for a very long time, but I actually started out with humble beginnings, Brooklyn, New York. Projects. I never like to say it, mostly because sometimes it gets embarrassing. But I've realized to embrace every part of you because everything's unique, right? From there, ended up moving to Arizona when I was 10 into the suburbs. And from the suburbs, that's when I got into sports. So I got into basketball, um, did a lot of just different things, skateboarding, all kinds of outdoor activities. Couldn't do it in Brooklyn because it was too dangerous.
For how long did you live in Brooklyn?
I lived in Brooklyn for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 years. I lived in Haiti for about 2 years in between that too.
Haiti.
Yeah, I'm Haitian American.
Really?
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't know
Well,
that.
now you know.
I thought you were from Chile.
No,
I swear.
everyone is not from Chile, man. No.
No, just kidding. Okay, so
No.
when you were a kid, you were born in Haiti then.
I wasn't born there. So my mom actually moved to the US to have me so that I could have my citizenship here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
smart.
I ended up going
That's a
back
smart
there.
move.
It was a smart move.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is I didn't know my dad till I was 5.
Why?
Because my dad was in Haiti because he didn't have his citizenship. So he couldn't come.
Okay.
And I was living in the US.
Yeah.
So every year when I was in like pre-K, right? All these kids would be like, "Oh, it's Father's Day." Like, "Mom, where's my dad at?" She's like, "Oh, he's in Haiti." So I kind of relate to the kids who don't have fathers, at
Yeah.
least for a little bit, because I was confused. I was like, "What do you mean everyone has a dad but me?"
Yeah.
So
I really want to touch in your personal life. But before we jump into that, so you started Elixir, the supplement company.
I did.
Do I pronounce it well? Elixir?
Elixir. Yeah.
Elixir. Okay.
Yeah.
Elixir. You started that what, like a month ago?
I started that 2 months ago so
2 months
far.
ago.
Yeah.
You've been into bodybuilding, personal
Yes.
training.
Yes.
When did you get into that?
So I've been in fitness as a whole since honestly for about 8-9 years now.
Would you say that was like your main thing that got you starting entrepreneurship, business, and everything, or you were doing? What were you doing before that?
So I was in tech for a while. So I went to business school. So
Okay.
let's go all the way back, right?
Okay.
When I got to college, which the reason why I went to the school I went to was because of basketball to start. It was a D3 school. But I was really good for a D3 player.
Really?
So I was looking at like, hey, is this going to help me go overseas? I'm 6'2", 6'3", point guard, shooting guard. Like,
Were you good?
yeah, I was good.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was good enough to be like a real pro.
Oh, gotcha.
Right. So I was good enough to be considered good, but not exceptional enough to be like.
So did you ever consider like going professional?
100%.
Was that your
What,
like childhood
bodybuilding?
dream? What?
Bodybuilding?
No. In basketball.
In basketball, yeah, so from 9th grade to like when I got to college, that was my entire perspective was
Really?
I'm either going pro or going home. And what's funny was before this, I had gotten cut from my 8th grade basketball team because I just started playing basketball when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So when I got cut, I started crying in my room. Like I closed the doors for like 3 days straight. I didn't eat. I was upset. And I got so mad, and we could talk about anger, but anger helps a lot if you push it in the right direction.
If you know how to funnel into productive
right.
action for you.
And
for
I
sure.
just started training. Like I would watch
You're the right
YouTube videos. on just like how to be better. I'd watch Kobe videos. I'd break down game film. I'd do all the drills every day. And this is in Arizona, 107-degree weather on average. I'm in the park training. I got darker than I've ever been. Just going
Because
hard.
it's hot,
Man, it
bro.
was, the sun was beaming, but I was just so passionate about being good.
What happened?
Um, I I made the team my ninth grade year.
Okay,
Actually, before that, I made my AAU basketball team, which was one of the top in the state at that time.
let's see.
And that was just from getting cut, right? But I was a center. So, and people who don't know, a center is basically considered the tallest player, and your whole job is to block shots, rebound. It's not fancy, right? I wanted to be the point guard, shooting guard that could dribble everywhere, shoot, and do whatever. But I wasn't skilled enough for that. So I was a center, and I did my job really well. I had very long arms. I was able to block shots all the time. That's what people knew me as, the
Yeah.
blocker. And after that season, it taught me about the intensity of basketball and what it takes to get to the next level, because I didn't know. And so I went back to training. Freshman year, I surprised everyone, because everyone used to make fun of me when I was in eighth grade because I got cut. They were like, "Oh, Martel sucks. He got cut." And my ninth grade year, I came out of nowhere. People were like, how did you get to the point you're at now?
That's
Like,
funny.
I beat everybody out, made the team. People who made the team the year before over me got cut. So it was a complete inverse.
Okay, so you went full throttle when you were
Full
back in high
man.
school.
And I didn't stop.
Okay,
I kept going. And like, people would see me at the recreational center every day just doing drills, playing basketball with like the older guys, beating the older guys,
that's sick.
like getting first pick. That was a big thing. Like in basketball, like you get picked based on how good you are,
Yeah.
and how you're beating people. I play one-on-one with people on the side, beat them. And like, that was my whole entire life, was just basketball.
And did you play college basketball as well?
I played D3 for a
Okay.
little bit. I didn't even play officially. So I got in, and I was actually moving in to be a starting player as a freshman, which is rare. But I ended up stopping, and that's a whole other topic. But the main reason was because I found that, okay, Martel, you're not going anywhere with this D3 thing. As good as you feel like it is now, and yeah, you're an athlete, but now I'm at the number one entrepreneurship school in the country. My friends, the people that I know,
Which one? Where'd you go?
Babson College.
Okay.
So for
Where's
anybody,
that?
so it's in Wellesley, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So it's like in like the rich area of
And why did you
Massachusetts.
move there?
Because so I had a lot of schools looking at me. One of them was
For
University of Chicago
basketball?
for
Okay.
basketball. NYU. These were all D3 schools, because I went to a UPenn elite camp and I did so well that everybody's like, "Where'd this kid come from?" Because I wasn't on like the national radar ever,
Yeah.
right? So all these people were like, "Oh, we gotta grab them, we gotta grab them," and they don't have great like scholarship packages, right? A lot of it's financial aid. But a lot of these schools were heavily recruiting me, calling my mom, and Babson was the top. Actually, it was on the bottom of my list at first, because I was like, "Oh, mom, I want to be a D1 athlete. I don't want to go D3. That's embarrassing." And my mom was like, "No, like Bab, they called me. This is a business opportunity. Like, this is where you can learn about business, and
So
you
you
can be
made
on."
the decision based on your education, not just being an athlete.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what, but I didn't want to. I did it because my mom, she was like, "No, I
Yeah.
really want you to be." And then my uncle told my mom, like, "Hey, I've been in Boston. Babson's a really good school. It's a very elite private college. Like, he needs to go."
So when did you make the change of jumping into business and entrepreneurship and just leaving your athletic career behind?
So this was towards right before the freshman season started. Everything was good. I was making my way to the starting spot, close to the starting spot, basically, until internship season came around. So in college, a lot of kids don't look into internships their freshman year. My school, you had to have an internship your freshman year to start, paid internship.
Let's say.
That's like the level of competition it was. Like, who could get the, if you didn't get a paid internship, like you didn't,
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, he's whatever."
Like you suck.
Literally.
Like, basically.
It's toxic, but that's just how it was.
That's
So
the reality, bro.
everyone's grinding. I remember I had Ernst and Young, me and one of my best friends, like we were going to get interviewed there. They flew us out to New York, stay at the W for this interview. That's how crazy it was. I've never experienced this in my life, right? Had a suit on and everything. And I remember coming back. I didn't get the internship, but I came back to everyone saying, "Hey, coach was talking." Can I cuss in here?
Yeah, I mean, just a
Coach
little
was
bit.
talking crap
Yeah.
about how you gave up on your team and went to go do this weird
Business thing, internship thing.
internship
Yeah.
thing, and it pissed me off because I was like, yo, like, what do you, why are you mad that I'm going to pursue something that could better me? Like, this is a paid internship, right? And I remember I got so mad that I was like, I don't even want to play here anymore. I just feel like, I feel like a monkey. Like, literally, I feel like I'm just somebody that,
You feel like betrayed kind of a
not
thing?
even betrayed. I just feel like I'm only useful on the basketball court, which a lot of young black kids feel like.
I want okay, I'm really glad you touched on this party. I don't know if you've heard of Wilson.
Yeah,
Have you heard of him?
yeah.
There's a podcast that
The MMA guy, right? Or the karate guy?
yeah,
Yeah.
that he helps kids
Yep.
in the I think it's Detroit or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
And something they were talking about the black community and everything, and something that he said is like that for black people, you're more than just being an athlete or just stuff like that. You can become a lawyer and everything,
Yeah.
and all this stuff.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Because I mean, you just touched on it. I was not even planning on talking about it, but it's a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're flowing on this one, but you know what I'm saying? Because I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like for you guys, it's just like, oh, be an athlete, an athlete. You have the skills, what it takes. But why did you choose something complete opposite?
So for me, man, it was, the biggest thing for me was I was just realizing how much I was putting all my eggs into a basket that was gonna break.
Okay, how did you know it was gonna break?
Because all of my other friends who took basketball extremely seriously went to like NAIA, which is a division below
D3?
D3. Um, they were stuck. Like, I was seeing it. Like, they were just in this cycle. People who didn't make it to college, they were still trying to play. And I had some friends who made it to the NBA, actually, like people I played with. And I just saw the difference. I was like, I don't think, and I had to like humble myself. Like, I don't think I'm not that talented to get to that point. This wasn't for me.
Okay, let's talk about this thing too, because something that I always preach about purpose is figure out what you're good at, your passion, the thing
Yeah.
that you love to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not just saying that, oh, become an astronaut or like you're gonna be
Mhm.
the first NBA player when you're like 35, like
Right.
a rookie. You're not. You gotta be realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
Always like having faith, but also being realistic. For me, I love motocross. Like
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons why I moved here.
Yeah.
But then I realized I'm competing with kids that started when they were 5.
Right.
Like there's no way I'm gonna make it. So it's like, yeah, I don't want to be like freaking like sunshines and flowers and rainbows and follow your dream, but it's like you also have to be realistic for your with yourself.
Yeah.
So how was that for you, and how would you recommend a kid being honest with themselves but realizing that they can do something that they love if they start young, if they have what it takes? Because not everything is talent, you know. If you put in
Right.
the work, I'm convinced that if you're doing long enough and just you keep your head down, you can make it. But also it's like you got to be realistic and honest with yourself, because it's not just, oh yeah, bro, freaking go and be the next LeBron James. Like there's some honest conversations that you have to have
Right.
within yourself. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I think it's different though. And when because I have to look back at it and understand, like, okay, this is how I thought about it. Because I didn't think about it like, oh, I'm not good. I wasn't discouraged that I wasn't good enough. I was just exposed to so much
Okay, so you
more.
had another option that
It
you were
wasn't
more
even
attracted
another
to.
option. It was just I was exposed to so many other opportunities that it opened my mind to be, and this is the issue, and I can speak for young African American kids.
Yeah,
Coming from where I came from the hood.
yeah,
All I saw were people who were in gangs, including my family members,
yeah.
right? People who sold drugs, including my family members, people who like became rappers, like that, basketball players who were playing, going to college, getting their scholar. That was my exposure. Does this make
Yeah.
so?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
Because that was my
It's like the only
exposure,
thing you knew,
that's all you
like your
know.
role models. Yeah.
And those are the people you see doing well because they look like you, right?
Yeah.
So when I go to this school, and I'll tell you, I'm getting accepted by people who may not look like me, but I relate to them a certain way. And I see one of my friends on Shark Tank.
Really?
Yeah. He's on Shark Tank. He's pitching. And we weren't close at the time, but like I just saw him. I was like, dude, now we're close. Like I actually I coach him now, like for fitness. But at the time, he comes back. He got a deal with Mark Cuban. He's in a white Porsche. I've never seen a white Porsche in my life. Only person I saw in a Porsche. Actually, I've never seen anybody in a Porsche, but I knew a Porsche was expensive. The only person I knew could afford it was a basketball player,
Yeah.
right? Or like an athlete. So I'm like, man, how did he get that? It's like, oh, he started a business. It's like, oh, he started a business.
How old were you?
I was 18 at the time.
You were young.
Yeah, I just came to college.
Yeah.
I was into like the partying, being the athlete, the big athlete on campus, like all that. That was my vision until I started seeing kids getting internships at like some of the top accounting firms, consulting.
So what attracted you from business or like choosing a different route
I'll be
than just
honest,
athletes?
and some people are gonna say like the fluff, but it's money.
Okay.
Like there was no purpose behind it. Like I felt like this was my thing.
It was like
It
freedom
was
kind of
like,
thing where
dude,
like you can have
nah,
financial
people
freedom.
make money. Yeah, like consultants. I was a glass door person even when I was younger. So like when I looked at entrepreneurship, this is why I didn't even want to go to my school. Because when you go, I dare anybody go on Glassdoor, type in entrepreneurship, you're gonna see $30,000 as an average salary. I don't know if it's changed now, but
I mean, dude, I mean, talking about entrepreneurships, I think there's a statistic that 1% of the world are entrepreneurs and only, or I think it's seven. Okay.
something low,
It's like 1 or 7%. And then out of those is like 1% that actually makes money.
right?
It's like really low.
But the sliding scale, it's like it's from zero to infinite, right?
Yeah.
So you make it for yourself.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that at the time.
So that's the thing that you fell in love with, just like the opportunity of just
Yeah.
unlimited stuff that you
Just
can.
being able to create whatever I want because
That's
I've
sick.
always been I've always been a free thinker at heart, but I've always felt like I had to confine myself to my environment.
That's a. I mean, we were just talking before jumping into recording this thing. Is that most young people, because this is a podcast for young people,
Yeah.
is that they're being taught what to think instead of how to think.
Mm-hmm.
They're being put in a box or
Mm-hmm.
in a system,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where they usually stay. But for you, thinking outside the box or just like learning how to think. I don't want to be told like what to think. I want to think of myself, by
Mm-hmm.
myself, or for myself, whatever. Who taught you that, or it was just something that came natural to you?
Again, a lot of people aren't gonna, you might not even like this either, but what helped me was my disdain for religion.
Your disdain for religion. What do you mean?
Disdain is a interesting word. Like my just I disliked it after a while. Cause so I grew up in a very restrictive household. My
Okay.
dad was a pastor
Really?
and my mom was just following my dad blindly to
So they were
everything.
always on you like,
Oh, they were all, man, I couldn't do anything.
okay.
I couldn't think any other way. I couldn't do anything. And again, I'm not saying religion's bad. I think religion's good if directed in the right way.
No, but dude, I agree with you. I mean, Utah is like,
It's strict.
it's a place for religion. There's a lot of influence of the church and everything here. And something that I hate is like the parents are teaching their kids what to think instead of like teaching them the principle and then the kids govern themselves.
Yeah.
They're just telling them what to do. And that's something that and it's not just religion, it's everything. That's something that my mom did really good for me is that they never forced me to do anything. They always taught me the principle and I was partying and all that stuff. That was my world. But everything I have, I chose that
Mhm.
because I wanted it, not because like it was forced to me.
Yeah.
So I think just the principle, like I think it's a huge thing.
It was. And I think for me, man, that's what changes when I went to college because my parents weren't paying for my college. I was doing that.
So you were on your own.
I was completely, and I love, that's when I fell in love with freedom. And not to just go out and be stupid, but I literally felt like now my life was in my hands. That's what attracted me to the entrepreneurship side because it was the same feeling. It's like, oh, instead of a job, I can go create money for myself, right? Like these other people are doing. And that's what got me into training people when I was in school. That was my first ever
You started
entrepreneurial endeavor
with physical
with
training,
fitness. That was
with
the
fitness.
first thing. And the reason why was because after I quit basketball, and that's a story we can get into too, I called my coach and I was like, and by the way, he had flown me out before school started. I stayed at his house. I was touring the campus. Like I was like his prized possession.
And then that's a hard one for
It's
him
a
for
hard
sure.
one, man. He was like, "Oh, we're building everything around you, like, like this team, like you got to be there for your team members." And I just called him. I was like, "Hey, Steve, like this isn't gonna work for me." Like
What do you say?
there's a long
Did
pause,
he curse you
and
out
he
or
was like,
something?
"Are you serious? Are you effing serious? Like, why would you? betray your team like that?
Really?
Like you had so many things going. Like why would what caused?" And I explained it to him, and he still didn't get it. And it was just a very tough conversation. I'm not going to get into the details, but we ended up just breaking it off. And I didn't even come back to practice the next day. I was just done. I was like, all right,
What about your
well,
parents when you call them?
my
Because
parents were
you were
cool
there
with
for
it.
the basketball. I mean, that was like the main initial goal,
But my
probably.
parents also were educationally focused.
Oh yeah,
Because Haitian families, man, it's all about education with them. Like if you're an athlete, I was good enough to where everybody supported my athletic journey. I just, and I think this is just something in me, like, and I'm an only child, so I'm very introspective.
oh, you're only child.
Yeah, like
That's funny.
that's the only positive about being an only. I don't like being an only child until it's like I'm so reflective of like where I am and who I am. Like I'm always aware of so many things. I'm just like, Martel, you not like the NBA doesn't make sense right now. Like, think about something
I
else.
mean, I think even with this dude, I think it's not like a Haitian thing. I feel like it's with the exception of North America, all the other countries
Third world
they
countries
think
in
like us.
general, yeah.
Like for example, in Chile, like being an entrepreneur, like that's not a topic in any conversation. You're always like you get educated, you go to school, whatever, and then you work in a company or
Hmm.
something. Like being an athlete, it's not a thing. Like doing
Nah,
your own thing is never a thing. Not
no,
just an entrepreneur, but he's like get educated, get a degree, and you're good for life. That's kind of like the mentality.
same mentality.
And I feel like I love the US because like there's so much freedom to do whatever the frick you want to do. Like if you're not successful, I feel like it's on you because like especially here, there's so much opportunity and coming from a place of and maybe you can relate but coming from a place that maybe you weren't loaded or the resources and
Hmm.
there's always a lack
Hmm.
and there's always this system and this box when you're
Hmm.
like out of it you're like now I can do my own thing and take as full advantage as I can from all the resources that this place has.
That's how
That's
it
how I
was.
feel.
That is exactly what happened. I saw
Yeah,
so many like business accelerators in there where they're giving you money to start a business. I I did a so my first class was foundations of management and entrepreneurship. That was my first ever course
that's sick.
in college. So that whole course was around starting a business. We started a business called Pillow Talk, and it
Feel
was basically like a speaker and a pillow that we were trying to sell. My first ever exposure to
that's
business.
sick,
It was
dude.
fun,
That's
right?
sick.
Just to come up with different ideas. And from there, it just got to a point where after basketball, I kind of felt like I was aimless, right? I was like, what am I going to be doing now? Right? I'm in school, I'm taking classes, but like, what else? So I started working out a lot because what else are you going to do if you were in athletics, right? I fell in love with that because I was getting better fast. I was like, wow, I'm looking different,
You
right?
were an athlete so it's like
But I was skinnier. So I'm now putting on weight, and everyone's like after that summer, people were like, Martel, like, what happened?
they
I
were
was
like
like,
Martel, you looking kind of cute.
dude. And I'm not gonna lie, and I've never had a problem with like women, but it just was a next level after that. And in college, I was like the guy now. And from there, I
That's
was like,
fun.
oh, I like
That's a
this.
good problem to have.
Great problem to have. But now all these kids, and mind you, I went to school with a lot of international kids, right?
Okay.
And a lot of international kids, for some reason, are super into fitness. It's weird. I don't understand why. But like, and I'm saying like we had people coming from different parts of Asia, different parts of India, coming to the school because they're inheriting their family's fortune in business. That was why they came there. But they're all super into like going working out.
That's
And
interesting.
it is.
Yeah.
And I was actually working in a campus job that I think they was paying like $11 an hour or like something around there, or $10 an hour at the time. And they were like, hey, can you help me get into shape the way you did? I was like, sure. And I was like, and at the time I didn't understand sales. So I was just like, well, how much would you want to pay me? And they were like, I'll give you $20 an hour or $20 a session. I was like, wait, I'm getting paid double compared to like
My
my
job.
campus
Yeah.
job. So I started taking on these kids and it was fun. Then
But you
I
didn't plan on doing that though, right? It
no,
just came as
it
an
just
opportunity.
it just
Okay. I
came as an
feel like
opportunity.
the best things in the world and in life, they just come
It's just
like
synchronicity.
that.
I didn't have a plan, and I think that's when I took it to the next level because there was like a gym called Boston Sports Club that was right down the hill from my school,
Okay.
and I used to go there a little bit, and I got to a point I was like, huh, what if I was a trainer here? So I talked to them about it. I was like, how much do trainers usually can usually make here? They're like, oh, you can make like $50 a session. I was like, $50 a session? I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, what do I need to do? They're like, get a certification. So I go, I get the top certification. It's called NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine. And this is why I was in school. I invested $700 that I didn't have into this certification. I had like this credit card, my first ever credit card. It's like, well, throw it on there. And from there, it was just like, wow, like I'm actually doing this now. I failed the course the first time, right?
Really?
I took the test, I failed it. Second time, I got it. I actually passed it with flying colors, and I was very educated on just everything, what to do. So I went back. I was like, "Hey, here's my certification." They're like, "Great, let's get started." So they start teaching me like how to be a trainer. I start shadowing a bunch of trainers, and I quickly become one of the top trainers there as a young person. And I'm just getting client after client while also going to school, while also hanging out with my friends, while doing all that. I'm making money.
That's awesome.
I'm like, this is great. And mind you, I'm still working somewhere, but it feels like I'm not because I'm getting my own clients,
Did you
right?
feel like I'm making money without a degree? Like that feeling,
I
like
didn't
it
have
feels
that
good.
thought. I don't think that registered in my head
Really?
because I was still in school.
Okay.
I thought this was just kind of like a side thing
Okay.
at the time, right? And yeah, fast forward, man, like I just became that trainer guy. And people kept hitting me up about workouts and stuff. And we took a trip. So this was my sophomore year to or no junior year, I believe, to San Francisco. That was almost like a weird like study abroad opportunity. But I ended up doing consulting for like ClassPass, which is like a tech company in fitness,
Yeah.
which I loved that side of things. That was cool. That's what got me into more business, but on the tech side. But I wanted to stay in San Francisco, right? So I ended up actually, and I had no money. This is a whole different story. I had no money. I was like, I either go back to the projects from my parents or I find a way to stay in San Francisco. And I was like, what am I going to do? I started couch surfing. I had a friend that lived in San Francisco at the time. Akeem, he's one of my close friends. And like, he's like, hey, stay on my couch. I had no money. I literally had like maybe $100 to my name in San Francisco. People
Wow.
don't know San Francisco was and still is one of the most expensive
Yeah.
cities in the country. So I'm like really depressed because I'm like, dude, like, what am I doing here? Like, I have no
So
money.
did you drop out of school then?
No, this was all like leading up to the because during the summer, that's when my study abroad opportunity was done. Like all the money they gave me for staying in San Francisco ran out.
Okay.
So I was like, how am I gonna make money here? Like, what am I gonna do? And I'm sleeping on his floor because at that time, like I just felt like I was abandoned, man. Like I had a girlfriend at the time. We ended up
But
taking a
what did
break.
you like about San Francisco though? Why did you want to stay?
I wanted to stay because it was vibrant, man. It was just I felt alive when I was there.
You just had a good feeling about
I
it.
had a great feeling because one, people there were very different from Boston. Very open, like sunny. I'd never been in
It
that
was a good
area. It
energy.
was great
Good.
energy.
Okay.
And I was like, I gotta stay here. And I was just like trying to figure it out, man. Like, and I was just on my own. And I remember I was with my friend Akeem and I was like, dude, I'm gonna blow up this summer. He's like, how? And I was like, I'm gonna go apply to Equinox. I'm gonna get a job there.
Equinox?
Yeah, Equinox.
What's that?
So it's the top luxury fitness club, I want to say in the country.
Okay. But that was in San Francisco.
That was in San
Okay.
Francisco, the heart of San Francisco. It's like, dude, I'm going to blow up. I'm going to get a lot of clients there. I don't know how, but I'm just gonna find a way, right? He's like, all right, dude, let's see it happen. So I go, I apply. Um, they're like, oh yeah, we want you as a trainer, and they had exams that you take to see what tier of a trainer you could become. And I ended up becoming tier 2, which was rare. Nobody had passed that. It was one of the hardest tests ever.
Yeah.
I passed it, and they were like, okay, you're a tier 2 trainer, which means I made more money. So I started off rather than making $20 a session, I'm now making like 40,
That's awesome.
36 to 40. So that's my starting. And now it's like, okay, well, now you got to go get clients. My first 3 weeks of that summer, I was getting like 3, 4 clients a week. I was hitting the bonuses there. I was seeing checks more than I ever have. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So I was like, all right, Akeem, thank you so much. I'm going to go get an apartment. We're still talking and stuff. I now have money to get an apartment. I'm ramping up my clientele. And I met this editor from Pop Sugar Fitness while I was training at Equinox. And she was like, I want to do like an article around you because you're like a really good trainer here. So she wrote this article that did so well, it like blew me up. I started getting followers overnight on Instagram. So now I was like, I got to start creating more content. I'm literally posting 3 times a
And
day.
what'd you do with your girlfriend? Did you guys break up or
Oh,
something?
that's a whole different podcast, my boy. But no, so man,
If she was in Boston, I would be pissed if my
no,
freaking.
she was in. So we lived together in San Francisco.
Okay, so she came to San Francisco.
Yeah, and we were going through like a very rough patch, and she just was like, "Hey, I need a break." This was at my lowest point. I
Really?
needed somebody.
You were 20, 21?
Dude, I was 20.
You were a kid.
I was 21 or 20, and I just was like, "Man, I like need somebody to
Yeah.
like talk to. This is a very hard time. Like I literally have no money. I have nothing.
You're betting on yourself
I'm
big
literally
time.
betting on myself." And
Yeah.
at the time, she wasn't really big into the whole entrepreneurship stuff. And so she just ended up leaving and hit me up on FaceTime and was like, "Hey, like we should take a break, by the way. Any guy, if you take a break, it's a breakup." Just saying. That's how I look at it. I didn't look at it like that at the time.
Oh,
But
I take that personal for sure,
I
bro.
did, I
I
did,
don't
but I
know if
didn't.
people
It
do
hurt.
it, but
It
like,
hurt, man, because I was just like, man, like I'm at my lowest point and I never have support at my lowest point. This is a continuous pattern in my life.
bro, I can relate to that 100%.
And it's like, dude, it's one person I confided in just left.
I'm gonna write it down because I want to talk about that.
Oh man, you want to get into that talk?
Yeah,
Man,
bro, we have to.
it was one of those things where I got to a point, man, I was just like mad and I was just like, dude. And I just, yeah, she ended up going to do her thing. When she actually came back because she had an internship in San Francisco herself. She's like, hey, like let's hang out. I was like,
Okay,
nah,
for how long did you stay in San Francisco for?
I stayed there for like what, like total?
Yeah.
6 months.
And then you went back to school.
I'll get into that. Yeah, I went
Oh,
back
yeah.
to school. But going back to, I start making content now.
Okay.
I'm getting a ton of followers. I came back, I had made, I want to say 15 grand over the span of 3 months
Really? It's sick.
in the summer. This is more than a lot of kids' internship money.
Yeah.
I had my own apartment in San Francisco. I had the best experiences. I was blowing up on social media.
You're like, I'm a baller, bro.
I came back to school with 10,000 followers
That's awesome.
from 1,000.
Yeah.
I was getting featured. I was getting modeling opportunities in San Francisco. When I came back to school, man, everybody saw me as that guy. They're like, Martel, all the girls, Martel this, Martel that. It was the craziest experience of my entire life.
That's sick.
And it changed me. And, the same girl, she comes back, she's like, hey,
Wait, let's talk about this for a minute. Because you blew up, more opportunities came. Now you're seeing more success as a young kid, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen overnight. It came from you betting big on yourself, which is what most kids don't do because they don't have the balls to do that. And that's something that in my case, I think is if you want to win, like yourself, like you as an individual, you are your biggest investment.
Yeah.
And you have the best return ever. So it's like, why wouldn't you just bet on yourself big time,
Dude, I'll be honest. Most people don't bet on themselves a lot because they did not burn the boats.
Let's talk about that for a minute because I truly believe, bro, that the magic happens when you don't have any other option.
Yeah, your back's against the wall. Like
when you
for
have
me,
like a zero options mentality, that's where the magic happens because you have to fight like a dog to survive.
I'm not going back home to a big house with my parents who make a lot of money and I can just hang out. I'm going back to the projects of Brooklyn, New York with no AC in the hood if I don't make things work in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Regardless. I didn't even have money for a flight, so I don't know how I was going to get that. So I was actually probably going to be on the streets with the homeless, and there's a lot of homeless people in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so I was like, something has to work. And that's when just things clicked and I just action.
Did you always have the chip on your shoulder though? Since when you were a kid?
Always.
Because these young kids, bro, they don't know how to turn the negative. And I mean, you mentioned, I really want to talk about it because I feel like when you've had rough situations in your life, like a tough childhood or whatever, like that's a gift if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
Because if you can turn that into fuel and to turn it into productive action, bro, you can be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like I feel the same way, bro. Because like, And that's why I do a lot of crazy stuff because I'm like, bro, these kids, these guys, you can't compete against me, bro. You have
Yeah.
no idea all the hell I've been in my life,
Yeah.
all the pain I'm willing to tolerate to win because of all the crap that I've been through, bro. And I can relate, like what you just said, like, bro, every single time that I was struggling, the times I wanted to kill myself, the
I've had
times
them.
I was looking
We could
to
talk
God and
about
he's like,
that
bro,
too.
just send someone. Nobody showed up.
Hmm.
No one. Like, bro, my mom, and I don't know if you know much about my story, but like my mom calling me, this is last year, calling me every single morning
Hmm.
because they're getting divorced and telling how my dad is freaking like doing a bunch of dumb crap and like finances is struggling for her and all this stuff. And
Hmm.
then seeing my little brother that I'm like his dad, his role model, and he has tumors all over his body, and that he could die like freaking tomorrow, and that he talks highly about me, and that he's going deaf, going blind. And then people ask me, "Oh, Ben, why do you do what you do?" And I'm like, "Bro, if you had any idea of all the hell I've been in my life, you wouldn't understand why I do what I do." And you have the balls to judge me or to freaking say why am I so extremist or the urgency or why do I think the way I think? Be in my shoes,
People
you
don't
would
know.
freaking crumble for 2 minutes
Yeah.
because you could see that freaking I don't have another option rather than winning my life because I have a lot of freaking people counting on me
Dude,
because I want to
100%.
win for them, not for me. But I know them, they don't have time. And because they don't have time, I put that on my freaking back and I don't have time to mess around. And that's why I do the same damn thing Monday through freaking Monday.
Hmm.
And I don't stop because, like, bro, I'm not going to be here forever,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be here forever. So he's like, dude, I get so passionate talking about it because
Yeah.
people don't get it.
They don't get it,
They don't
man.
get it,
People are privileged.
especially young kids, bro. He's like, bro, I come here to the States and I see all the resources and freaking good things that people have, like Utah, how safe it is, and like everything that is given. And bro, if you don't succeed, you're literally stupid.
Yeah.
Like you have to, like, I'm sorry, but I'm just being honest, bro, because I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, you have everything and you don't
Yeah.
appreciate anything. You complain about everything. You play the freaking victim.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
freaking, you struggle and have depression because your freaking dad didn't buy you an iPhone.
Dude,
Dude, you have no idea what freaking struggle is like, bro.
depression is real. I'll tell you that, right? I've had moments where it was like,
But all these kids that are complaining is their problems. Oh, my daddy didn't buy me an iPhone, bro. I don't have. I'm like,
no.
bro, you let me teach you real stuff, bro. I had to do arm guard for 2 weeks because my house got burned and friggin' people arrived into our house twice, and I didn't sleep from 12 until 7 a.m. for
Dude.
2 weeks arm guard because the freaking cops they can't use their guns because it's like you're on your own. It's like people don't know what true struggle is, bro.
No, they don't.
It's insane.
And it's crazy because a lot of them have backup plan. That's my whole. I always go back to this, man. Like my entire life, every time I've been in my lowest point, it's sad, but I can't call anybody in my family and be bailed out of anything. All of my decisions were mine. Anything that happened, it was me. My mom, all she'll say, Martel, I'll pray for you. That's it.
Like you're on your own.
You're on. And it's not even because she's doing it to teach me a lesson. They have no resources. They don't know how to maneuver in this life. They're foreigners.
But dude, it's a blessing. You know why?
Huge
Because
blessing.
God and just life in
Yeah,
general, it teaches you to develop the mental
for
skills,
sure.
discipline, grit, resilience, fortitude, like all this stuff
Yeah,
that nobody can teach you.
yeah.
Like they don't teach you that at school. You can't just learn like through your parents or through a book. You have to learn it through pain, struggle, and just
Real
being
life.
on in hell. You learn that in hell, you know. And all these young kids, they don't have those skills.
No.
That's why I'm really glad we're talking about it because I'm all about develop the skills, bro. Because those skills pay off big time,
Yeah.
you know. So sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're
Keep
good.
talking,
I don't
bro.
even think you cut me off. I'm trying to remember where we were, but
The options. Let's talk about that for a minute.
yeah.
Let's talk about. I want to dive more into your story.
Okay.
How you were able to develop those zero options mentality because you can't count on anybody. It's just you.
Yeah.
Like, what's the real stuff that you've been through? Because I want to show people that freaking these kids, dude, like their struggle is nothing. There's
Dude,
always somebody that has it worse than you.
here's what's you want to know when you really struggle? When you know you really struggle when you look back at what you went through and you're in more pain now than you were at the time.
Okay, explain that for a minute.
So I'll give you a good example. When I was young in Brooklyn, in the projects, I didn't realize cockroaches running over my face when I was going to sleep on a cot, not having cold water or not having hot water and having to like have a tin can to like give myself a shower. Like I didn't realize that stuff was bad. Having to go through like
It's all you
food
knew.
drives,
Yeah.
like not having food stamps, all that. Like I was fine. I was like, oh, this is life.
Yeah.
I was enjoying what other people, if they were in my shoes, they'd be crying. They'd want to hurt themselves because it's just not it's just not what life is for most people. Most people live in a very cushy lifestyle. I didn't have that. I saw my parents, my mom working 3 jobs, right? My dad having an aneurysm, not being able to work, almost dying in my hands,
What's an aneurysm?
brain aneurysm.
Okay.
So that's when I want to say a blood vessel pops in your brain and it starts bleeding.
Okay.
And literally, if I had taken a second later to call 911, he would have died.
Wow.
Right. This was when I was 10, just moved to Arizona. Like so many different things, man. Like just talking to my uncle who went to Rikers Island, which is one of the biggest, craziest prisons you could ever go to, right? Explaining to me his story. Just growing up, gang violence, being initiated into something, like getting a blue handkerchief, like, hey Martel, put this on. Like,
That's crazy.
come with me, like, let's go rob this store.
So why you didn't end up like that, bro? Because like
Come on,
statistically, you would. Why are you not in prison? Why are you not like all those guys?
the
What'd you do?
creator, man. God, like, I'm just gonna be honest. There's no reason why I shouldn't have ended up like that.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is like that wasn't my path. That
But do you feel like deep down you were always like, I want something better for
100%
myself,
every time I think like that to this day. I'm never satisfied with anything.
even when you were young?
Even when I was young, I wasn't, man. I think what happened was when we moved to Arizona, and the reason we moved to Arizona was because my uncle, who arguably is the most successful in my entire family, he was working at Honeywell, which is this big tech company, and they relocated him to Arizona. I was going through what I was going through in Brooklyn, New York, and he was like, "Hey," he told my mom, he's like, "Look, we got to move him to a better location, or else he's literally gonna die. Like, he's not going to survive there. Like, with all the different influences that are like around him, he has to get somewhere else." Because I was very smart as a kid. Every teacher would tell my mom, like, "This kid's gonna go somewhere."
I think that's huge. Sorry to cut you off,
Yeah,
but I think for a young kid that don't know what to do with their lives or whatever, I feel like a really good first step is change your environment
you have
to
to.
start. I think that's a huge one for me. Like just coming to the States, dude, like it opened me so many doors.
Yeah,
Changing just your environment, just moving around, it gives you a different perspective of
that
just life.
so it gives you
Yeah,
more. That's what I was saying with the
that's a
basketball
great
thing.
starting
That's how
point.
basketball
Yeah.
went to business, right? It was I had way more of a perspective of what else was out there.
Okay.
So when I moved to Arizona, now I'm seeing big houses. Now I have white friends that have these big, large houses. Their parents are like anesthesiologists,
You
doctors.
were exposed to more
I'm
stuff.
like, wait, and I'm asking them, I'm like, how do you live here? They're like, I don't know. My parents just bought this house. I'm like, I live in an apartment right now. What, how did you? And so now I'm like, okay, there's more.
Yeah.
And now I start looking back to where I lived, and I was like, man, I really lived like
But did you have those conversations with your parents? They like
no,
them talking about you
no,
didn't?
never
It
did,
was just like a
dude.
thing that came
That's
from.
my biggest that's my biggest regret. And even to this day, my relationship with my parents are not as deep as it could be
With both,
with both.
even being like the only child.
Yeah, because we held a lot of conversations back. We felt these emotions, but never talked about it ever, and it just stayed bottled up.
Yeah, that's bad.
Really bad,
Yeah.
right? And we'd have bursts of anger and go through these conversations of like, and most of it was how I was feeling because I was always afraid, like, I can't tell them how I really feel about this.
Why?
They're gonna hate me, right? Or I'm and my parents have used this against me, like, you're gonna go to hell. Like, no, like, you can't say this, you can't think like this, you can't do that. So that restricted me so much that I just couldn't open up
Okay,
to
and
it.
add that. Okay, now that I'm understanding, because they were pastors, the church religion,
Yeah,
so we're always
man.
like for
It
you.
was to the book. I couldn't I
Okay.
couldn't question anything.
Yeah.
So any emotions I had, I just kept it to myself, which is hard because, being the only child, you can't talk to your brother, you
Yeah.
can't talk to your sister. So
And it comes to a point that you explode because
you
you have
explode,
everything inside.
dude. And I
So
was
when did that happen?
that happened in college. That happened. I was actually a junior. This is when I came back, man. This is the craziest thing. Um, Everything was good. Like I told you, like came back from San Francisco. I'm sitting in my dorm by myself and I just start crying out of nowhere, right? And by the way, the year before that, my grandpa had passed away. I didn't even mention this.
Were you guys tight?
That he to this day is the biggest mentor of my over my dad, over my
Really?
mom, the biggest mentor of my entire life. Why? Because he allowed me to open up. Any sensitive conversation, non polite conversation I could have with him. No judgment, nothing. He just listened, give
That's
me good
beautiful.
advice. That was the only family member I had at that time that ever did that. He didn't care. He was like, dude, I don't care what religious background you want to choose. I don't care what girl you end up being with. I don't care what you do, as long as you're living your life and you're happy with your life and you're a productive member of society. That was my grandpa's entire life like mantra for me.
He allowed you to be yourself.
Oh yeah, and he
That's
celebrated everything that I did. I got
that's
into
good.
playing piano because of him. That was a big skill that I had developed over time. Music was a big thing because I knew my grandfather was big into music, so I got into everything he liked. I wanted to like.
So when he passed away, like
Oh,
I was
dude, that was the first and that was my sophomore year. That was the first ever breakdown I've ever had. I don't cry often. I was bawling
yeah.
for months. I just life just flipped. I was like, man, who am I going to talk to? Mind you, I have two parents. They're not divorced. They're together. I have two wholesome parents that I cannot go to. I could only go to this one person. He passed away of a heart attack. Like,
That's tough, yeah.
so it's like, or cardiac arrest. But I was just sitting there like, man, like, who do I talk to
What'd you
at this
do?
point? I don't know. I literally don't know. I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I have to go follow him too? Like, maybe I have to go kill myself to be with him. Like, I was having these thoughts. I was
Yeah.
walking around like, I don't want to be here. Like, this was the only person that like this
And
is
you
like
didn't
an
have your
angel
girlfriend
to
at the
me.
time, right? Because you
I
guys broke.
did.
But didn't you
This was
break?
before.
Oh, these before San Francisco.
Yeah, this was before San
Okay, before
Francisco.
came out.
This was a year before.
Was she like any supportive at all,
She was
or
very supportive actually of that whole situation. But again, I was so used to bottling things up.
yeah.
I didn't open up. I'd wait till she left and started
Are
crying.
you still like that?
Not anymore.
What changed? Or just life just forced you to change?
I think being around like as I got older, I was around different women who would almost like change the way I thought about relationships.
Okay.
I was like, oh, the last relationship I was in was really bad based off of this new relationship, right? Every new relationship I'd be in or new situation I'd be in, I would always just open up a bit more to the point where my relationship now, I'm like completely vulnerable. I'm open,
That's good. I
right?
relate to that, bro. Because
It's hard.
for me, because life just taught me that it's just you, and
Yeah.
people care, but like they're not gonna do anything for you, whatever. Like I just kept everything to myself for a long time, and don't get me wrong, like it helped me a lot to
Yeah.
like achieve a lot of stuff and just grow super super fast and just push through stuff and overcoming everything. But it got to a point that I'm like I was breaking inside,
Yeah.
you know. And now, I mean, I can talk about stuff that has happened in my life before, but I have a hard time talking about like present stuff. Now I'm
Mhm.
way better, and I've shared this before. Like I've learned when just it happened last year, actually in December, because something happened with my little brother, and he could talk to me, started crying, and I just like freaking broke down, and I just started talking to people, and it just healed my soul just talking about it. Because I always tell like people, I'm like, bro, even with my mom, I'm like, I know what to do. I just need somebody to listen to me,
Yeah.
especially with guys, because sometimes for us, it's way different.
Yeah.
People see it, or society see it as a way of weakness instead
Yeah.
of just I don't know. But I think it's really healthy just to talk about it, bro, with somebody.
Very,
Yeah,
very healthy. And I just didn't have it. Like I didn't have anybody to really talk to like that. That I at least felt like was invested in me
yeah.
at the time. I had mentors, but it was all like career related, basketball related.
It's cool to have people in your life that you know that they care about
Yeah,
you.
it's like you don't have to give them anything and they just care.
Yeah,
So it's like losing that, I was like, man, what now?
yeah.
But yeah, that was a low point. But my lowest point had to have been, yeah, my junior year coming back, man. I just looked at everything that happened and I just still felt unhappy.
Even after the San Francisco thing?
Yeah, even after all that, I was like, man, this is cool, but something's wrong. And it's really my relationship with my parents that got me. Like the spirituality. This is why I say I have a disdain for religion for that reason.
Yeah.
Like I'd talk to my parents and it'd always be negative. I'd share a thought, it'd be like, you're going to hell, or you can't, this isn't the right way to be a Christian and all this. And like I'd come back from a happy event and I'd have this conversation about going to hell. Everything had to do with going to hell. So I got to a point.
That's so bad,
It's so bad. But for me, I grew up
I'm
trying
happy
to.
you're going to.
I grew up trying to please
That
my parents
sucks.
so much, which that's the worst thing, being a people pleaser to your own parents.
Yeah.
Like every time they would say that, it would just like rip a piece out. Every
Yeah.
time it rip to a point where I literally got to a point where I was like, you know what? I might as well go to hell now. Let me see what it feels. No, I really was thinking that. And it just got to me because those were the only people that like I wanted to please. I didn't care about pleasing anybody
It's
else.
your parents. Like, you
Yeah.
want them to feel proud about you and everything.
Yeah, I'm the only child. Like,
Yeah.
they sacrificed a lot when I was younger to help me get to where I was. And for them to be saying this, I'm like, there's something wrong with me. I just shouldn't even be here anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
feeling.
So that was one, man. And it just, the cycle would continue. Like every few months I would feel like that. Every few months I would feel like that. And it just, to a point where I just said, you know what? Let me just get out of religion for a while and just figure myself out.
What'd you do?
Um,
You stop believing in God, stuff like that, or
started.
stopped?
No, I've never stopped believing in God, but I changed the way that I thought about God.
Okay.
My entire life was God was this white dude in the sky that, which again, there's a lot of identity crises that black young kids have that nobody talks about. But my whole life, it's like this white dude in the sky with a white beard. That's God. Innately, you start thinking, and you don't, it's not at the forefront of your brain, but like just subconsciously, you never feel like you're enough because I'm not white. So if all I'm seeing is this white person in front of me that's supposedly the creator, right?
Why am I not like him?
I'm never going to be white. I can't change.
But is that what your parents taught you about, like God, kind of that he, like
Well,
all that
my
stuff?
my parents
Or where?
encouraged it because that's what they believed.
Yeah.
Because that's how they grew up. They grew up thinking that, right? And we can go into the details of why that is. That it gets deep, but it just forced me to change how I think about it because my biggest issue when I was religious and when I was deep into Christianity was I'm not enough.
Wow.
I'm not enough to my parents, to this white God in the sky. I can't be him. I'm black. I'm just not good enough. And a lot of kids have that thought. They just can't articulate it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who are going to be listening to this are going to be like, man, I've had that thought so many times.
I bet. Yeah.
I've gone to a Catholic church and seen white Mary, white Jesus, white Joseph. Why is there not a black, like, or just not even black or white? Just why put an image around God? Those were the thoughts that started going through my head.
How'd you handle it though? What do you believe now?
I believe there's a creator. I don't like using the word God because there's a connotation around God that I don't like, where it's like you almost like you humanize him.
Yeah.
You see, I'm saying him. It's like why does God or the creator have a certain human aspect to? And I like to say it because I don't know who God is.
Yeah.
Nobody, even as much as Christians, Muslims, people, they say, I know God. No, truly, nobody knows God. You may have a feeling about God, and there may be something that rattles you to the point where you believe in something, but you never can actually tangibly say what that is.
Do you believe in Jesus?
I believe in Jesus
Like a prophet?
as a prophet or just as a leader and somebody I'd like to be like in the future.
Okay.
But for me to say Jesus is God, which is my entire life, that's what I believed. I can't say that now because I just don't know.
And do you think all these beliefs that you have right now, I mean, probably was influenced when you were raised as a kid
Mhm,
for what your parents were telling you and everything, but
mhm.
yeah. I mean, are you still in the search? Like, it's still a journey for you trying to
It's a
figure out some
journey,
stuff.
and the thing with me is I'm never gonna say anything is not true because I don't know.
Yeah,
And that's where I feel like if religion was that way, where and I'll paint the picture for you. This is how I thought about it. This is what freed me. There's a canvas. Imagine an art canvas,
yeah,
right? There's this huge painting, different colors, blue, white, red, everything, right? That whole canvas is God. Let's just symbolize that as God. Not literally, figuratively, right? We're all humans. We're ants, right? Ants can only see forward, straight, right in front of them or below them. They can't see up. They don't even know that there's birds in the sky,
hmm,
right? They can only see what's in front of them. One ant goes up on this canvas, right? Crawls up on this canvas on the wall. And they look down. They're like, oh, wow, this is blue. This is God, right? That same ant goes back. All these other ants are migrating around, just moving around. They're like, yo, blue, that's God, that's God, that's God. They convince all these other ants, blue is God. Another ant accidentally strays away, goes to yellow. No, 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 yellow's God. Convinces all these other ants, no, yellow's God, yellow's God. They're all on the same canvas, the same exact canvas. And they're convincing each other, like, no, blue's God, no, yellow's God. But in reality, it's all the same thing.
yeah.
It's the same principle. Every religion has very similar principles for a reason.
I feel like because I always encourage people because I know there's a lot of church influence, and honestly, I'm pretty active because I love freaking religious stuff, and
Yeah,
God is like 99% of who I am and everything. But
yeah,
I always encourage people like, dude, just believe in something. Like at
yeah,
the end, like you need that in your life,
you do.
regardless if it's like a Muslim or like freaking Catholic or being a Christian or this church or that church. Like just have a belief
I'll tell you
because it gives
this.
you purpose. It gives you like meaning in life. It gives you so many things that just not having a belief like it sucks. You know
I'm going to tell you this, and this is going to be one of the most controversial things that I'll ever say. If you're an
that God is
atheist,
Chilean.
no, probably, who knows? But honestly,
That's pretty controversial in my opinion.
it is. You probably piss a lot of people off. But to be honest, for me, there's no reason why I can't not believe in something because and again, I respect everybody's opinions because it's their opinions, it's their viewpoint. But if you're atheist and you say God doesn't exist, you're literally like disrespectful and probably one of the dumbest humans on planet Earth. Because it's like, how are you going to say that you've been around everything in the universe to say God doesn't
Like
exist?
honestly,
Like,
dude, it's common sense. Like just look at your body.
not even that.
Just look at nature.
Don't even assume that there is anything. Just say I don't know is perfectly fine. But
Yeah.
you're arrogant if you call yourself an atheist and say, "Oh, God doesn't exist." How do you know? You're literally one particle in this universe that's barely lived a blimp of even when the universe
I
existed.
think that beliefs come from like an ego thing then.
It's definitely an ego thing.
I don't think it's like even like a belief like, oh, I can prove you why God. No, I think it's just an ego
I
thing.
think even with very religious people, there's a lot of ego where they believe their God is the only God and everything else is non-existent. When it's like,
Yeah, I agree with that, especially here because a lot of people they just judge. They're really judgmental,
yeah,
and I'm always like, dude, I have a lot of friends that were way different in a lot of beliefs or culture wise or just everything. But the one thing that we have in common is that we love helping people and building people up, and we want to win.
yeah,
And that's it. Like that's why I always say, like, dude, if you fall in that category, I want to be around you. I
yeah,
don't care who you sleep with, your color, if you're yellow, purple,
yeah. For
freaking
real, it doesn't
from China.
matter.
I don't care, bro. Like you do you, I do me, and that's fine. Because like I truly believe that the world needs more of that. Of just, dude, just respect each other, bro. I don't have to put my thoughts in you on
Yeah,
you and your thoughts on me or your beliefs. We can talk about it in a really healthy way and just compare opinion and beliefs. And I think that's fine. The world needs those conversations to happen.
yeah.
But nobody wants to talk about politics. Nobody wants to talk about like this stuff that we're just talking about
Religion is a
culture
tough topic,
or
man.
religion. I'm like, bro, just freaking let your ego aside
Yeah,
and just communicate with people and you're gonna have a better understanding of people's opinions. And it makes the world a most beautiful place and balance because we have to be different. We're
yeah.
not equal. We're not. We're different, and that's fine. You know. So I don't know, dude. I think that's a huge thing, especially right now. There's a lot of division.
A
All these
lot.
kids that they don't know what's going on in the world, and people don't talk about this anymore.
Mm-mm.
You get canceled if you do. It's just
Man,
like,
yeah, it's cancellation is interesting to me, man. I just feel like, I'm very different where I'm neither right, left. I don't care.
I'm like, let me leave, bro, and I'll let you leave. That's it.
I think that's like with the younger generation, it's going to be tough because you're almost pressured to pick a side with
The
everything.
thing is, bro, like part of like my show, and I really like is it's giving people true education because even with politics, bro, I've talked with a lot of young kids. Oh, sorry, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to get involved. And it's like too contention and all this stuff." I'm like, "Bro, you're stupid because you're gonna lose everything because you just don't get educated." I'm not telling you pick a side,
Yeah,
but
just
we're at
learn
a
about
point
it.
that is good versus evil. Like it's not left versus right. It's good versus evil. Like have an opinion on things.
It's not even just that. It's have an opinion, but also like do more research
Like
on
just care a little bit.
learn about but also learn about the macro, learn about the micro, understand how the government works, understand why politics even exists in the
Like they
first
have
place.
no self awareness,
None.
brother.
No, there's
Another,
there's a lot of conversations I have, and this may sound arrogant, but I just feel like I'm talking to like they call them NPCs, non-playable characters.
bro, dude. I feel the same way, dude. Like,
It's not even to be it's just like,
well, but it's the truth. It's not that you're better, but you're just different.
yeah,
You're just different.
I'm thinking like, why do you think the way you think?
dude,
Or do you think at all? Or are you just regurgitating like the media, like what
dude,
they've
I thought I was
told
the only
you?
person that thought this way, bro.
No, I have, and a lot of my friends are like this, and that's why it's good to surround yourself with not even just like-minded people, but people who think different in any
People
way,
have the
shape, or
same
form.
purpose or same mission or something like that, bro.
Because
It's like,
you start to notice the people who are very ambitious are very driven. They don't think the same as the people who
no.
aren't.
I'm like, bro, I made a video today because I'm like, bro, I look around like my generation, all these kids like 23, 22, 20. What are they doing? Hanging out with their friends, going to parties, chilling. Like the most fulfilling thing going on is probably going to school and like their girlfriend or partner or whatever. And I'm
Yeah,
like I can't relate to these guys. So I'm like, I look at people and I'm like, bro, what the hell are you doing with your life? Like,
yeah,
what are you doing? Like, what, like, bro, like, what do you do, bro? And it doesn't come from a place of me just being a dick.
yeah,
It comes from a place of you have so much inside of you, so much potential, and you're wasting every single thing, everything,
yeah.
because you don't want to. You're just there, and you're just living life, and you're just average.
You know what though?
You're just doing everything what like everybody else is doing, and for me, that's like, bro, I always do the opposite. Like
You know
it's
what?
just weird.
I will say this because I've had to learn this the hard way because you know, you I have the same thought you do, but when you start looking at how people's lives develop, everyone's different, right?
I agree. Yeah,
And so like you'll start to see that people who statistically come from like bad upbringings, they tend to succeed earlier in life, right?
that's true. Yeah,
That's just how it works.
yeah,
Because you have a chip on your shoulder your whole life. There's something that's pushing you forward. A lot of people, if they live in, and most people today, they live in a very comfortable environment. So there's never that push to change. Change always comes
yeah.
from
But dude, you
some
still
sort
have
of
your
discomfort.
agency.
Yeah, but the thing is, people start to realize that when negative things happen in their life, aka lost my job. Here's a big one, right? Which layoffs that just happened. The layoffs that just happened forced everyone to start thinking like, wait, I'm not safe. Wait, getting a job the way that everybody taught me like this was the safe route, I just lost it. I have no money coming
Yeah,
in. What am I going to do? It changes how you think. We had this same epiphany earlier because you were like, well, what am I going to do? My family, I need to do this. I have backs against the wall. They're hitting that stage later. So that, like you said before, it's a blessing to go through early pains as a kid because you get that epiphany a lot earlier than a lot of people.
I agree, but I would also say that I've met a lot of people like young. I just met with a girl. She's 21. Her dad is a freaking really successful entrepreneur, and now she's the CEO of this company and has like 15 employees. And
Mhm.
she does a lot of volunteer work and work with charities. And she's 21, and she had all the resources, and she took advantage of it because of the good example. Now, this is what I will say though. I think the true problem, because I get it. Like
Mhm.
these kids, they're sleeping. A lot of them, they're getting distracted. It's not their fault because the system and all this stuff, but I look at like the role models,
Hmm.
singers, and even some athletes that they're just athletes and their messages they're just full of crap.
Yeah.
And I don't even think is that it's their fault, like the bad role models that they are. I truly believe that the problem is that there's a lack of good role models, is people who can take that responsibility upon themselves and be like, I'll lead the way. I'll teach these kids what's possible. I'll be their leader. I'll wake them up. I'll show them what they could do in their own lives. And I truly believe this younger generation, they're struggling because there's a lack of true leaders,
Yeah.
a lack of good role
That's
models
true.
that they're not stepping
And
and they're not speaking the truth or standing for something that they believe.
yeah.
And I think that's why the evil it's and all these freaking bro, I freaking picked up this kid from the airport, really famous singer. A lot of people follow him and everything. He makes money singing about his breakup and wanting to kill himself and just mental health. And I met him. He's the most entitled to kill in the freaking world. I wanted to punch him so bad. He painting his nails and all these freaking stuff that I'm like, bro, freaking man used to conquer and kill for a living. And now you're painting and you're dressing like a girl. Sorry, but he's like, that's not.
Yeah.
And people look up to him and he's 24,
Mm.
you know? And I'm like, you know what? It's not your fault. It's people like us, people that know they should step out of their comfort zone and lead by example and show others what's freaking possible, because there's a lot of people that are waiting on people like that,
100%.
you know?
I think again, it's a cycle, right? And again, I don't want to say, because I know it's controversial. It's like, oh, men dressing like, do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, just know that
Yeah, but come on, man. You just say, because I know it's like freaking.
here's what I will say. Life happens in cycles,
Okay.
right? Dynasties happen in cycles. When there are good times, everyone's calm. Everybody wants to explore different things. They want to explore their sexuality because we're comfortable. They want to explore, this is how dressing up, fashion, everybody wants to look at all the non-essential things
Yeah.
because everything's good. When everything's bad, wars, which again, I don't know. There are cycles, right? We're going to have these cycles again. Big recessions, damn near depressions, financial everything's going to happen, right? You're going to see a shift. We won't have time to start thinking about these things. Guys dressing like girls. You're not going to see that anymore, because what's going to happen? There's going to be a need for essentials. Right now, there's no need for essentials, which is why you see what you're seeing now. I had to
I
come to
mean, but
terms with
I
that.
feel like there's a huge need right now for essentials and leadership,
There's a
especially right
huge
now.
need for it right now, but what I'm saying is it's only going to compound over time.
Yeah, I
And a
agree.
lot of the clown world stuff that you see, I call it clown world because it is clown world. You're going to start seeing that decline a lot because there's going to be a need for the essentials, the leadership, somebody who's actually strong and like capable, right? Guys, right now, a lot of guys don't work out.
Yeah, but this is the thing, bro. Like when people say, like, "Oh yeah, somebody's gonna show up," bro. Like nobody's gonna. It's you, me, and the people listening to the
100%.
show. You
100%.
know, it's us.
Yeah.
Like it's us that we gotta step up because as we said in the beginning, you can't wait for anybody.
Nope.
There's no
I've
team
tried to wait
that
for
is gonna come
somebody.
help you
I
or
tried.
rescue. It's not gonna show up.
Yeah.
So it's like it's on us. You know, like I see like freaking talking about like wokeness and stuff, like the military here in the US, like the Navy, talking about the LGBTQ and celebrity and all this stuff. Well, meanwhile, in Russia and China,
Oh, it's a
they're
different
like
world.
training people to kill.
Dude, it's a
You
different
know, it's
world.
like, bro,
But that goes
what
back
the?
to what I was saying, right? We're now engaging in pointless discourse, and I call it pointless because it doesn't lead to anything positive.
Yeah,
It just leads to just, oh, I'm gonna go do this or I'm gonna go try that. Just because we're so comfortable. While in Russia and all these other countries, they got bombs flying over their head.
yeah.
There's no time to be thinking about, oh, what's the best outfit of the day? What's the best oh, I like my chai lattes in the morning. Nobody cares about that in Russia. I'm just saying, like,
It's true, bro. Like
and,
I agree.
and,
I get it.
and I don't come from the standpoint of I hate, like all the stuff that people do
But dude,
nowadays.
it's natural selection, bro. The strongest will survive and the weak will die. That's just how it is. Look at animals.
That is how it is. But
Like a freaking lion is not complaining, like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. Oh, poor me. No, if he doesn't go on a hunt, he's gonna die or somebody's gonna
I
kill
don't
him.
have
Like,
my avocado toast this morning.
like
It's like,
freaking,
dude,
bro, cut your crap.
that's
Just get to work. Get
it's
to work.
different. It's
Yeah,
it's a different environment, and all I'm saying is there's going to be a huge shift, and people are going to wake up to their own agencies.
yeah.
But as of right now, we don't have the environment for that to actually happen at a mass scale. there's going to be people. There are people that are doing like us. We're out. We're getting things done. We're very focused. We're very driven. We're trying to build things, right? But because there's this illusion that everything's already been built, people just want to chill, and that's how
Yeah.
Rome fell.
Yeah. And let's talk about this, dude, because I think, especially right now, and I always preach about this, that before we came to this world, we saw that was going to happen, what was going to happen in the world. And God showed us like the whole history of the earth, and that everybody right now, you, me, and every single person who's listening to the show, we chose to be here
Mm-hmm.
because we realize how messed up the world's going to be. That there's a lack of leadership, lack of leaders, a lack of true dads and mothers, and people who can show you what's possible in your life and inspiration and all of this. And we said, I want to be there because I want to contribute. I want to be an example. I want to be a role model. Like, we're here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to jump into this topic because this is how you and me met,
Yeah.
talking about purpose, and that there's a huge opportunity right now to matter.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge opportunity right now to make a difference. There's a huge opportunity right now to inspire other people with your life. And I take this personal because this is something that I've always wanted. In my life, when I almost killed myself in 2017 and a bunch of other stuff that I've been through in my life, and it all came because I didn't know that I mattered.
Mm-hmm.
But now when I look to society, I look what's going on with young kids and young people and in society and everything. I'm like, bro, now you can matter
Mm-hmm.
in the history of the earth. And that's a huge purpose. Now because of your influence, because you can show people what's possible, you can be part of all of this.
Yeah.
And you can feel that God or whatever you believe in is working through you to make a difference in this world. And I want to talk about this because I mean that's how we met. It was
Yeah.
it was funny. We met like what you
At
said
the
6 months
gym.
ago.
Yep.
I was working out and Martel saw me. He needed some tips and some guidance.
I did.
He wanted some.
I was trying to get like you, 22-inch arms, man. That's what I was looking for.
No, let's talk about it. And let's wrap it up with this one because I want to finish with this topic, talking about purpose
Yeah.
and how you can matter too.
Yeah.
Like everybody can matter right now, and there's a huge opportunity for people to step up right now. But we were at the gym. I was working out, and it was funny because I had a feeling to stay. There was nobody in the gym. I had a meeting with John, and he left. John, we're gonna have him in the show. He's a really cool entrepreneur. He's really cool. So he left, and I just had a feeling I needed to talk to somebody. And I just stayed for like an hour, like extra hour. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave. And then you showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, you can tell the other part of the story, but like tell us like the conversation we had and everything.
Yeah, man. I remember I was walking out of the building like through the gym, and
But why did you chose that door? Because you could have left the other
I
door.
don't even remember why I chose that door. I think I was just like, oh, I don't want to take the other, because I think you had to lock the other door. I didn't want
Sure.
to lock the other door. But I saw you and I saw the 2020U shorts. I think that was that the first question I asked was like, where'd you
I
get
think
the
the first question was like if I'm single.
Yeah, I did. I did. I wanted to figure that out.
I feel like that's the. I just kidding.
No, but like, or I think I asked like what you were doing there.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, what are you doing here? And you're like, oh, I'm just working out. I was like, do you like do, and that was my first, I always ask this. I'm like, what do you do like for work or life or something? And you explained 20U and your purpose behind it. And I just, in my head, I'm like, this dude has it all together right now. I don't know what. I've been through a lot. Like, I'm trying to figure things out. And that was our conversation, right? It was just like, what do I do with life? Right? Like, and I had to ask you, like, what was your history? Like, you broke down where you came from, and I resonated with that, right? It was just like, okay, well, what do I feel like I can contribute to the world? And I think, to be honest, a lot of young men go through this
Oh, for sure.
at multiple stages of life, because a man that's happy is a man with a purpose.
Yeah.
When you don't have it,
I mean, that's for everybody, like guys and girls, like
guys and
everybody.
girls, but I want to specifically say men, because you will fall into extreme depression
Yeah.
when you feel like you're stagnant and you just don't have anything going on, right? Or you just feel like you're stuck.
And you know what's funny is that I believe with all my heart, probably 90% of guys, young guys, they feel like that. But
100%.
they portray that they're cool, living life, going to the lake,
No.
going out with girls, and all this stuff. But that's fake.
Yeah.
Because I've sat down with a lot of them, and you ask enough whys, you go deep down into their soul. They're like, I'm not fulfilled.
And again,
I'm not confident.
I don't want to say this doesn't happen to women too, but with men it hits harder.
Because it's expected from us to lead, to
Exactly.
contribute, yeah,
It's in society, it's in evolution, it's
yeah,
how we've been brought up. So when you don't have a purpose, you start wondering why you exist,
yeah.
right? And you start wondering like, well, what do I do? Like, how do I like? You start seeing there are some guys that they aren't physically attractive, and they just start thinking like, man, girls don't like me. I have nothing, right?
And I think even with this, bro, is because for a guy, you need to have a lot of things to matter in society.
You do.
For girls, sorry,
Let's be
never
real.
hating, but he's just the reality. I
You don't
think,
need to be successful,
I mean,
and it's not being sexist, right?
it's just the reality,
it's the reality.
For guys, it's harder
It's not because here's the
because
thing:
you got to be in shape, you got to make money, you have to have a good
you have
religious belief,
to.
and all these things to actually matter in society. And if you don't, like, we just push you away and screw you.
Here's the reality of how it is, and I don't care what anybody says. This is how it works. When you're born, men have zero value, none.
Yeah,
And the reason for that is because you have to build your way up.
I agree.
You're not Your looks don't matter. Like nobody cares how you look when you're a little baby, right? Or like a kid. Nobody cares. With women, it's like as you get older, people gravitate towards you because of how you look. Beauty is a big thing. Not saying that you don't have any other traits,
But honestly, there's a lot of girls that, especially like here, they're just really privileged by the way they look, and that's the only thing they have, and
and
just they rely on it.
props. And again,
Yeah,
you can use that to propel yourself. Everybody has an advantage,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Guys, the advantage that a lot of guys have, they're driven early, right? They have a passion to do things early. That's their lane, right? So with men, it's like if people aren't valuing you for anything right now, it's not about how you look. You get to a certain point, you start getting a little bit of success, you start seeing more attention driven towards you, right? You start realizing that, wow, the more successful I am, oh, the better in shape I am. You have to go work out. Girls don't have to go work out. Nowadays they do, but like at the time, it's like, dude,
It's not as much expected.
it's not as expected. It's like with men, it's like you have to be in shape, you have to be strong because biologically, women are attracted to guys who look stronger because there's this thought of he can protect me, he can
But
provide,
that's the
he's
roles, dude. I mean,
responsible.
honestly, even though it sucks that he's that way, I feel like it is what it is. Like
Yeah,
you have, if you don't have value, become a valuable person.
and that's the
Like it
thing.
is what it is, bro.
Here's also the biggest difference. I commend all women that have achieved things, and I have friends who are women who have achieved a lot in life, right? They're really successful entrepreneurs. But that is a choice for them too. They can do that. With men, it's like you have to do that. It's not a choice. Like you don't just wake up and you're like, oh, I feel like being the best version of myself, or like I really, really want. Like you have, like society, like you said, is like, no, that's expected. You have to do that. Like what? It's like default. Versus it's like being an entrepreneur and like, you know, not having that expectation. It's different. It's a very different
But I
dynamic.
mean, I feel like it's those are the roles. Like the role of the dude is to provide and protect for his family and to
100%.
lead,
Yeah.
and provide and protect financially and physically. And the role of the girl is to nourish her family spiritually and mentally. Like we have different roles, and that's fine. And I feel like a lot of guys, even though don't get me wrong, I know that sucks, and a lot of guys they struggle with like not knowing that they matter, their
Yeah.
value and everything. But I'm sorry, you got to step up. That's just how it
You
is.
just have to. Like,
Look, that's natural selection. That's natural order. You look at animals, and the dude, the lion, whatever, it's always hunting, providing, protecting, and they have different roles, and
and
it is what it
and
is.
that's where I think people always say, "Oh, that's sexist," because no.
But dude, that's just the
Here's the
reality,
thing.
bro.
Each role I feel like is just as important.
Oh, 100%.
Like being nurturing to a guy, you transform that
And
guy's
this is the
life.
thing. You have no idea, if you're a girl, how much a guy needs that.
And
Like the nourishing
I
part.
don't think women understand that they are the most powerful beings on the planet
Oh,
because of that
they
reason.
can make a dude's day,
You
or
can
they
make
can
a
screw
dude,
it up.
you can make a guy do any from a business. No,
It's
let's
so
really
true.
break this down. From a business perspective, you can, as a woman, own an entire empire off of just the nurturing and just who you are as a person.
Yeah,
Like you can literally leverage these things.
yeah.
Whereas, like with men, it's like, yeah, we're perceived as big and bad, but it's like you guys control why we do what we do.
There's a statistic. I don't know if to bring it up, but it is what it is. That most guys, I mean, I think it's for everything, but for guys, it came like a long time ago that they do like 50%. I'm pretty sure it's way more now, but 50% of the stuff that guys do, they do it for a sexual thing for girls.
Higher than that.
I
50%.
know it's probably higher.
98%.
It's probably higher. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure the same thing with girls, but it's like, why you go to the gym? It's not because, oh, I want to be healthy. No, like if you actually ask enough whys and you go to the root, it's because you
Well,
want to look better for somebody else.
let's
Why do you want to make money?
let's break it down. Let's break it down to the root. I like going back to evolution
Yeah.
biology, right?
Yeah.
As humans have evolved over time, the one thing has always been constant. Procreation
Yeah.
has always been constant.
Yeah.
Anything that results to procreation is what the opposite sex will do. Right? So for women, it's like they want to be more attractive. It's makeup, right? It's doing all this because they want to attract the guy so that they can get the best guy so that they can procreate and be safe.
I mean, they're more emotionally driven. They want the emotional connection.
right.
And the guys, they're more
The guy
sexually
wants the
driven.
sexual
Yeah.
connect. But why? Because males over time, and not even just over time, from the beginning, their goal is I need to procreate and
And-
make as much of me as possible.
Not just that, bro. Like if you look at your body and the way you were created, you were meant and built to connect with people.
Yeah.
You know, that's just a natural thing. So it's like obviously most of the stuff that you're gonna do is gonna go towards that thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a normal thing, but it's just funny how it works. You know, because
It is crazy. And I think again, the roles, I'm not saying that this is black and white. It always sometimes changes. I'll be real. Like my mom was the provider in the family for me. Like as I got older,
you
it's
have the
crazy.
exception sometimes. Yeah.
You have the exception.
Yeah.
And my mom is very strong, like very strong woman, has made a lot of sacrifices. But again, what she wants, which is now, is the reverse. That's what she's always wanted.
And this is the thing, dude. Like even with men, let's talk about men for example. You have your role, be tough, the leader, and all this stuff.
Mhm.
Provide, protect. And you can do that, but you can also be emotional. You can also be a
100%.
sensitive person. You can also connect and show your emotions.
You should.
We're not saying that forget about that part and girls are just the emotional ones. For girls, yeah, you're more emotional and nourishment. That's your part. But you can also be strong and work in those things.
It's the
You
same-
can
yeah.
be those things.
There's a balance.
But there's a role for sure that you have to do and you have to take and you have to fulfill. And that's a fact. You know? Like with all the ideologies and everything that's going on right now, the friggin' girls want to be paid at the same thing as guys, and guys, they're like, it's not gonna work. Like
It's
regardless of what you want, like
the craziest. All right, we can talk about the pay gap stuff too. I think it's interesting because with the way that society's built right now, it's all about capitalism. It's all about how much value do you provide in the market, regardless
natural
whether you're
selection.
male or female. I don't care,
Yeah.
or whatever other gender
If
you
you're the
want to say. I
best,
don't care.
you're gonna win.
Like
If you're not, you're gonna
that's
lose.
just what it is. I
Yeah.
know women making a ton of money right now.
Yeah.
I know women not making much money right now. I know men making a ton of money right now.
And you know a lot
Men
of
not
bro
making
dudes.
a
Yeah.
lot of money right now.
Yeah.
It's all about value. It's not about gender, really.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, maybe in the corporate world there may be some intricacies to that. I don't
but like
know.
you always have somebody.
There's
that,
always something.
Yeah.
But the whole point is it's all about building more value.
Yeah.
Building value. And
Become a
that's-
more valuable
become
person.
a
Yeah.
more on men, women, everything.
Whoever you are.
Become a
Yeah.
more become resourceful.
Yeah.
Provide value to somebody, and you will make money is literally energy. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's an exchange of value.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
Yes.
literally the definition of
Thank you.
of money. Exchanging.
value
It's a method of exchange, right? And the biggest thing that people don't understand is they're like, oh, why am I not making a lot of money? I used to have this thought. I'm like, why am I not making a lot of money? Well, look at what you do on a day.
And the thing is, most people they start thinking, oh, it's because of where I'm from or my country,
Oh,
my
yeah.
culture. I'm a victim of society. I'm a victim.
Oh,
of
victim
like,
mentality.
yeah,
I used
they
to
get-
fall. I used to fall into that.
Yeah.
And the reality is, it's created to keep you behind forever.
Yeah.
It happens, and I'll speak on my own community. It happens in the Black community a lot. We victimize ourselves a lot. We always say, "Oh, it's all about slavery. It's all about this. That's why we're so behind. We can never make it."
No,
because
bro,
the
you have a
system."
bunch of role models and examples.
Dude,
that
I
have
know so
made
many
it.
Black people making so much money. It's ridiculous.
Like I could
legally,
say the same thing as an immigrant. Oh, poor me, like the States. You know, I'm like, bro, I know a lot of people
it's,
that they came here from nothing,
Dude,
had nothing.
and I'll say this: yes, there are a lot of things that happened in the past, like slavery and all of that, that affect things. But
You're always in control in your situation, brother.
you're way better off thanks to your ancestors now. So you have no excuses
Especially in the States, which is like the
in
freaking
the age of information that we're
yeah.
in right now. And I think once you understand what money is, because unfortunately we tie success to money, right? Even though success is, like we're saying, living your purpose, which when you are living your purpose, the byproduct is you make money
Yeah,
because you're providing value.
exactly.
That's all it is. Money is literally just value
I
exchange.
agree.
So, for example, I come in here, I'm like, hey, I want to work here. And let's say I have nothing, right? Most people, they'd be like, I want to apply for this job, right? That's how a lot of people think. I need to apply, or I need to beg this person to give me a job. Versus, hey, what do you need done right now? Like, let's say this was a real conversation. What do you need done right now?
You know, it's funny. I've had a lot of guys reach out to me asking stuff like that, like, "Dude, what can I do to work with you or just to be around you?" I'm like, "Bro, what do you do?
Like,
What value
people,
can you provide?
this
You just want me to have you around for no reason,
dude,
and I
this
have to like,
this applies to relationships, even romantic relationships. A lot of people feel entitled. Man, we can get into this topic too. Men always feel like, oh, I'm the leader. The woman has to follow me, right? There's this thought.
you gotta earn the stuff.
You
Like, dude,
gotta
I
earn
would
that.
say like, what value? And this is why I have a problem with dating here because I'm like, bro, I have so and I know it sounds cocky, but it's just a reality. I have so many things going on for me, and in just 2 years that I moved here, physically, financially, mentally, spiritually, and everything, and I know the value that I can bring to the table. But then I go out with like girls and stuff, and because they're just cute, I'm like, bro, what are you bringing to the table? Like, I'm like, I have a hard time because I'm bringing all this stuff, but I'm not gonna freaking compromise my future or my purpose just because the way you look. Like, I feel like for girls, they're at a point that just become more valuable, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I'm like, bro, like I
And,
don't.
and value's different. I don't mean to cut you off, but I think a lot of people don't understand what value is. Value is not a constant state, if that makes sense. It's not a constant variable. So what is valuable to you may not be valuable to me,
That is true. That is
right?
very true.
So that's where I think with women and with men, regardless, but since we're talking about women, it's like figure out if you want to date an entrepreneur, this guy's an entrepreneur, well, what does he need? Like, where are his struggle points? Ask him more questions around that. Figure, because obviously that means the world to him. If a guy's an entrepreneur, that's what he cares about. Period. It's not a side job, it's a real thing, right? If that's what he cares about and you're sitting on a date with him, ask him questions and figure out how you can solve his problems. It may either be in business, it could be, hey, he may need somebody to talk to because he has emotions around his business that are negative, that he needs somebody to talk to. Right? He needs somebody to be with him emotionally. Like, there's so
Yeah.
many different ways of value that I feel like a lot of people just don't understand.
And I feel like even with relationships, dude, like, and this goes to guys and girls. Like, there are girls that are like, oh, I want this, and I don't have a problem with that because I do the same thing. I know what I want, but I will never ask something
Mhm.
to someone that I don't have or something that a value that I cannot provide to the table. And I feel like that is a completely entitlement right there because you see a lot of guys who are like, oh, I want a girl that has a great relationship with God, is fit, does all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, you barely work out. You don't even have your craft figured out. And you want all this stuff. What are you talking about, dude?
So this is a good exercise I've done, and I think everybody who's listening to this should try one time in their life. Put a list together of all of the traits you want in your significant other. Once you put that list together of that ideal person, ask yourself, if you were that ideal person, what would you want? Write down everything that ideal person wants. Now ask yourself, do I have these traits? Most people, you don't have these traits.
I agree.
If you don't have these traits, you cannot ask for that person.
I agree.
You can't think that that person is going to make time for you.
Become the person you want to attract.
Become the person that you want to attract, and also the person that who you attract wants.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to, because a lot
Yep.
of people don't ever think like it's a very humbling experience, and most people don't want to do it because it forces you to understand the value that you can bring to that person you really, really want.
I agree. That's a good one. That's a good one.
it's a tough exercise.
Yeah.
Like you start looking at it, you're like, man, I don't have this, I don't have that.
But
Okay,
dude, I think that's the solution to everything. I truly believe if young kids and guys and girls they could just raise their own personal standards and become a more valuable person financially, mentally, physically, and spiritually, you would fix 99.999% of the problems in society and things that
you
people
would,
struggle with.
but the craziest part is that's idealistic.
But what I'm saying is that it starts with yourself. Like if you want to
True,
fix something, it always starts with taking a look in the mirror and
true.
realizing that you're in control of a lot of things.
But how do you? So that this is your podcast, but I'm gonna ask you a question. How do you even get to that point with all of what's going on right now? Right,
I
like
think first step is creating self-awareness, and that's why I love what I do, and having these conversations and creating platforms like this because you create more awareness with people when they listen or they look at all this stuff. It's like, you know what, these guys might be right because you can't argue with truth. Like the reality is that it always starts within yourself.
mhm.
If you as an individual can become more valuable and better and raise your personal standards, dude, everything will change.
Yeah,
And I can tell you from experience why, because I was a lazy. I'm still a lazy dude. That's my nature.
same,
But before that was
same.
that was me. I didn't have any value to bring.
Yeah,
The only value that I had was my freaking mouth that I used to talk a lot.
yeah,
And I'm a funny guy,
yeah,
and that was it. And once I recognize, okay, I have a lot inside of me because everything I need for me to succeed, I already have it inside of me. I just need to expose that more often and tap into that true Ben that's inside of me more often.
yeah,
Therefore, I'm going to become a more valuable person. And he's the same thing. A lot of people are like, oh man, Ben, you're so motivated and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, that's an insult because I'm not a motivated person. I have discipline, which is way different. You think that I want to do everything I do, bro? Like twice a month, probably, that the stars align and the planets align and everything's perfect. But most of the time, I don't want to do anything.
yeah.
I struggle probably more than most people.
Dude, I struggle getting up in the morning. I still got to
It's the
get up.
same thing. Like all those skills and traits that you look up to into someone, those are built and earned. Confidence is built. Fulfillment is built. Entrepreneurship, having a successful business is built. People just look at the end results, and that's why I'm like I love what I do with bringing people like you and showing what it takes. Because he's like, build the mental skills, bro. Become a more valuable person. Whatever you see in me, you can have it. Because I'm a regular dude, bro. I'm from Chile, 80,000 people, bro. I live in a farm. You're from Brooklyn. You shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't even be here.
Yeah,
I should be dead. Same thing with you. You should be in jail or something like
yeah.
that.
So
But we
be
are
in
here,
jail or dead, one
you
of those
know.
two.
So he's like, if you can do it, if I can do it, everybody can. That's the whole message at the end of the day,
Yeah,
you know.
everybody can do it in their own way too. I feel like that's another problem. A lot of people, men, women, but I feel like men specifically, it's like you struggle with being yourself
Yeah, that's your
because
superpower, brother.
yeah, and it's the easiest way to live life because it's like if you're not your authentic self, you're gonna be literally like moving uphill, like it's an uphill battle for the rest of your life because you're just never going to be you,
Yeah,
and you're always gonna have to compare yourself to somebody else. And that other person is who you want to be like. And it's like, especially with social media nowadays, man, you just see all these like guys that are young, like in Lambos and all
rented
this.
Lambos.
We don't even know the behind the
Yeah,
scenes,
bro.
but because you see it, you're just like, oh, I can't be that guy. You get discouraged. Everything's microwave results. Everybody wants to get the next thing that's gonna blow them up. And like,
Retire by 25, get married in 6 months, do this when you're
dude, it's
free.
like, be you, take your time, enjoy the process. Like, I've had to deal with that because that's how I was in basketball. That's how I was in the beginning of entrepreneurship. Was like, how can I get the result the fastest way possible? Like, oh, I need to be like that person. I was playing basketball. I wanted to be like Michael Jordan when I first started. I was frustrated every day because I'm like, I'm not like Michael Jordan. I can't hit this shot. I can't do this. I can't do that.
Yeah,
And it's like now it's amplified with society, with social media, because all you see is this girl's lost so much weight. She's the prettiest person in the world. And you as a woman now, you're comparing yourself to like a Kim Kardashian, not knowing she did plastic surgery, not knowing that all this stuff existed,
yeah.
not
They're
knowing
not
that's
showing
just
the behind the
they're
scenes.
not showing the behind the scenes
Yeah,
or the work that they put in, how the people who really got those results, how long it took to get those results. Like the entrepreneurs that did really well. For example, I watch Iman Gadzhi a lot. I don't know if you know who that is. Very successful entrepreneur,
the
right?
soccer player.
No,
No, just kidding.
maybe there's a soccer player named that,
I don't even know. No.
but he's very successful. But I think he's like 23, 24, and you look at it, you be like, man, he's so young. He probably did that so fast. But you don't see since he was 16, he was putting out content.
Plus, there's so many ways to make it in life. Like you can become like a content creator, you can become an athlete, you can become an entrepreneur. There's like so many
It's just
different
what you want to
paths
do.
that you can make something out of yourself and whatever success looks to you, because we all have a different purpose and
Yeah.
we're all different
Yeah.
and we're all created to do and add value to people in a different way. We're
Yeah.
not. That's why if we were all the same, bro, the world would suck.
Yeah.
Because anyways, dude, going and finishing talking about this episode and everything, and now you talking to young people,
Hmm.
16-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, 20 or whatever. We've talked a lot in this episode, which has been amazing. I've really enjoyed it. But what would you say to these kids with everything we just talked about? What would be an advice that you have for them if they want to jump into entrepreneurship, if they want to start at a young age? What would be the first step, or a few things that you can recommend them to do?
I would say look into yourself like deeply, like really do more. And I know personal development, self development is a big thing right now,
Yeah,
but really like work on yourself before you start a business. Because to be honest, a business is going to be a reflection of you, right? That's a fact. If you're running a business, if you're not disciplined, it's going to show in the business,
yeah,
right? And sometimes it takes starting a business and failing it to then understand what you need to improve in, right? Starting a business by itself is a method of self-development in itself,
yeah.
right? So big thing is, one, work on yourself. Two, if you really want to start a business, start now. Don't wait, right? Don't procrastinate. Take action, right? A lot of people, they get into like this, like almost this mental, like
They want to know everything before they do.
marathon race to like figure out, oh, how am I going to do this? Well, I can't do this because of that. And they get into like this weird zone of not doing anything but feeling like they're doing something because they're writing things down and they're reading all these books. Start taking action now.
And you know what's funny is that everything you just said is so simple, but most people don't apply it because it's so simple, and they
Dude,
think there's a secret, but it's like, bro, there's
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 that
not.
that was my next point.
There's not.
There is, and another thing, another advice, there is no secret to anything. Everything is so basic and you'll figure it out because as you read, biggest thing I would say is anybody just start reading biographies of people, of
Yeah,
successful people, and you'll start seeing that in their life, and the patterns of their life are the same in terms of core principles. It's all the same.
yeah.
It's all basic. It's all very basic information. There are no true nuances to a lot of things. It's just you have to be comfortable with yourself. You have to be comfortable, understand that this is going to be a long game, right? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, right? You play valuable games, you win valuable prizes.
One of your advices was focus on yourself, invest in yourself. What does
Yeah.
that look like?
Investing in yourself is honestly just buying, whether it's a book that you really want to read that can help you think differently, whether it's taking a course online, and there's tons of courses online on a certain subject. If you want to learn social media marketing, take a basic course on that. Don't be afraid to put your money towards something that's going to help you in the future really compound what you just put in. Like, I think a lot of people, they look at stocks, they're like, oh, I invest in stock. No, invest in yourself before you invest in stocks.
Yeah.
Like,
You have the best
you
return
have
ever.
the best return of investment if you
Yeah,
invest in yourself. And that could mean anything. Investing in yourself can also mean taking care of yourself, getting a haircut, like little things that really people don't think about, that it matters, right? It's like invest in experiences, go travel, right? That gives you a new perspective on life.
yeah,
These are things I didn't do when I was younger.
yeah.
Investing in yourself can mean something different to anybody, but at the end of the day, at the point is, whatever money you put into yourself, whatever time you put into yourself, expect a result of that compounded in the future. That's what
I love it,
matters.
dude. And again, I like that you said you taught the principle, and which is investing in yourself, and not because it's we want to teach these kids how to think, because that could look different for everybody.
Yeah.
Not because if we tell you do this, this, and this, is like we don't want you to think that way. Start thinking of what do you want to do with your life. Start moving. Start doing something. And I think your story is amazing because when you were 18, you started doing stuff. You moved. You took the risk. You bet on yourself.
Took
Whatever
a lot of risks.
betting in yourself and invest in yourself look like, do that. That feels good for you. So
And a big thing too, to be honest with all kids, like I'm not where I want to be in life, right? We're always going to feel like that, but I'm still moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a huge one.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you need to be there already. It's like as long as you're making progress, even if it's slow progress, you're still moving. Because the worst thing, honestly, that's worse than going backwards is staying the same.
Yeah.
Because when you're staying the same, you feel like you're moving forward, but you're not, and the world moves forward.
Well, I don't think you can stay the same. I think you're either progressing or just decreasing in life. Like either you're growing
Staying
or
the same
dying.
is decreasing.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to
Yeah.
say. It's like when you're staying the same, the problem with that, at least perception, is because you think that you're okay.
Yeah.
When you're going backwards, when you're on a decline, you realize it because it's in your face. You're like, oh, I'm going backwards. This is not good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm at zero. My bank account's at zero. You know, there's an urgency. All right, I need to get back.
But if you're distracted or sleeping in life or whatever,
But
then
if you're
it's hard to
sleeping and
tell.
you're staying the exact same,
Yeah.
nothing's moving, like the same thing. You have $1,000 in your bank account today. A year from now, it's going to be worth less because of inflation.
Yeah.
Life is moving forward. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
And you have to keep going forward because things are going to change every time.
I love it. Dude, thank you for taking the time for coming.
Thanks for
I
having
really, really appreciate it. It was a really, really good one.
Yeah.
We got to do a part 2.
Yeah, bro. I need that.
We're gonna, you know what? Because one of the formats of this show is that we also talk about current events and make fun of it, but also like provide a solution.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to like be with me and we talk about current events and just talking about controversial stuff. But anyway,
I love controversial.
Thank you so
stuff.
much. And guys, we'll see you later. And thank you for following Stanford with Ben. See you guys later.